Hello, everyone. I want to begin with a question. If outdoor learning is so beneficial, if it builds confidence, resilience, and well being, why do some people choose not to participate? In my work as an outdoor educator, I see this regularly. Activities that are designed to be meaningful, even fun, and enjoyable are sometimes met with hesitation or resistance. This is especially true for learners experiencing symptoms of anxiety. Things like uncertainty, perceived risk, or self doubt. For a long time, I approached this as a motivation problem. I thought, how do I encourage these people to participate? But through both experience and research, my thinking began to shift. Instead of asking how to create motivation, I began asking a different question. What conditions make participation possible? To explore that question, I developed a conceptual model using a river system metaphor. In this model, participation is like moving through a river. At the headwaters, we have intention. People are interested, or at least open to outdoor experiences, but as they move downstream, they encounter different forces that either support or block their movement. Let me walk you through a simplified version. First, there are barriers. These might include perceived risk, low confidence, lack of support, or uncertainty. Even if an activity is objectively safe, it may not feel safe to the participant. When the perceived cost outweighs the expected benefit, people avoid engaging. So the question becomes, how do I rebalance that experience? How do I change the equation? This brings us to social support. Research shows that people are more willing to engage in challenging situations when they feel supported, when trust is present, and when they know they are not alone. Often, I find that people who are initially resistant decide to participate after they've watched others do it successfully and say it was fun. In river terms, this is like having other paddlers nearby or an instructor guiding from just ahead. The conditions haven't changed, but the experience of those conditions has. The emotional interpretation has changed. Next is environmental design. This is where the educator plays a critical role. Rather than removing the challenge, we can structure environments to make participation more accessible. One example I use is from whitewater canoeing. In a moving river, there are eddies, calm spaces behind rocks or along the shoreline. Paddlers move from eddy to eddy, pausing, observing, and re entering the current when they're ready. These spaces are not separate from the challenge, they are part of the design. They allow for choice within the challenge. Participants are not forced forward, they regulate their own engagement. This idea connects to a concept in behavioral neuroscience called a safe retreat. When individuals know they can step back into a safe place, they are actually more willing to explore. So instead of asking, how do we push people forward, we might ask, where are the eddies in our design? When these elements come together, manageable challenge, relational support, and meaningful choice, something important happens. Participation begins, and from participation, success. Success builds confidence and self efficacy. From there, motivation emerges. This is the key idea. Motivation does not precede participation, it develops through it. As people engage, even in small ways, they begin to experience success. Their confidence grows. Their perception of risk begins to shift. Over time, they spend less time in the eddies, not because the eddies are gone, but because they are no longer needed in the same way. So, from this perspective, the role of the educator changes. We are not trying to generate motivation directly. We are designing environments where people feel able to engage. This might mean lowering the barrier to entry, building trust through relationships, structuring challenge in manageable steps, and creating space for pause, observation, and return. This model has practical implications. In workshop settings, I use this river system framework to help educators reflect on their own practice. Where might learners be getting stuck? Where are the barriers? Where are the eddies? And how might small changes in design shift the experience of participation? I'm currently developing workshops based on this model, focused on helping outdoor educators and educators more broadly design for participation rather than for producing outcomes. Because when the conditions are right, participation begins. And when participation begins, motivation emerges and begins to flow. Thank you.